Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to Kate Towers, who is the co-founder of Small and Wild, happy herbal tea for kids. And in today's episode, we talk all about growing a business, starting, launching, looking into a drink product. I don't think we've had a food or drink product before, so this is very exciting. And also that sense of a pressure that we all feel to be healthy, to be eating the right stuff, to be living this glorious, zestful lifestyle, and sometimes it can be really hard to incorporate that into your day. So there's lots of nuggets, especially around branding and PR and getting yourself and your product out there, and how you can work with somebody else and how you can balance out the tasks and divvy things up, as I say in the podcast. If you want to come and join in the conversation, which I would love you to do, come on over to Instagram at Nicky Raby. We'll be chatting more about the episode there, or you can check the show notes at nickyraby.com/podcast. Also, I've only got a couple of spots left for one-to-one coaching over the summer, so you can have a look at the options there, nickyraby.com/coaching. That's it for now. Ooh, also, if you wouldn't mind leaving a review or rating it on iTunes, I would love that as well. We're doing some very exciting things with some very exciting projects coming up. So I would love you to be a part of that and support it if that feels a fit for you. Anyway, enough chatting. Here's the episode. Enjoy. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Nicky.
Oh, what a treat to have you. So let's start with you. What do you do?
Well, I am the co-founder of Small and Wild, which is happy herbal tea for kids.
Delicious. So good. My kid is really interested in buying shreddies at the moment, and I've really tried to stop because I'm determined to try and get some good food in him while I can, but who knows? I might have to let him have his own way. We'll see. So how did it begin for you, sort of launching your own business?
So I launched a business with my friend Becky, and Becky and I met actually in antenatal yoga with our second children, and I think we both had always kind of had quite an interest in what our kids ate. Essentially, we also both had a passionate love for tea, and I think we had this a bit of a frustration at kind of what do you give your kids as a healthy drink, and kind of whilst we were sitting there enjoying our many cups of tea, as you do when you're born.
I've never been so caffeinated in all my life. Like, I'm sure if when not that the police do this to me, but when you have this moment of being pulled over and breathalyzed, I'm sure they would find copious amounts of tea in me.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? And then it suddenly we just realised that actually, like, a herbal tea for kids could be a really lovely answer to that dilemma, and was also there as a really lovely moment. Like, we love the idea of sitting down and sharing a cup of tea with our kids, and the fact that it is intrinsically very healthy just meant that it really made sense. So that's where the idea came from. And then, obviously it took us a while to get it off the ground.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't actually think that we've had a food or a drink product before. How does that, because do you know what, there's always this dream, isn't there? And they tell you about it in Stylist magazine, and you kind of have this thing of like, I could do it too, of, running a cafe or having a little store or a farmer's market or something. What does the process actually look like in sort of getting something to market and something like actually making it?
Well, for us, I suppose there was a period of time of how to put it, politely, but procrastination.
Yeah.
Where we kept on talking about it, sort of, we both knew we didn't want to go back to our previous jobs. I was freelancing, but I knew that wasn't something I wanted to do in the long term.
Yeah.
So, I think there was that kind of period of time of being like, shall we do it? Shall we do it?
Yes.
And then really sort of thought, actually, yes, let's do this. Let's give it a go. But the very first thing we did, aside from obviously researching the market and seeing what else was out there, was really getting a supplier, because I think for us it was, can we actually feasibly do it? And we wanted to know it was something we could practically do. Because I think a big problem is a lot of a lot of people you work with will only supply you for certain quantities and so on. So that was quite a long process of finding the right partner to produce it and produce the tea. And when we found that right partner, it was then a much quicker sort of process from then onwards, because then we were very focused on, yes, we can do this, and we know it, we can launch it. So
how did you go about finding the right partner? What did you I guess what are you looking for? What are the first steps practically if people want to do it too?
I think, it's finding someone who really work on the scale that you want to work. Like a lot of people we spoke to were just, were like, you have to produce like, 200,000 tea bags on your first run and all that sort of thing. We're like, we're planning on like,
sure.
yeah. And using some savings to buy it with, so that's not an option. So it really was. I think the key challenge was finding someone who was of the right, with the right scale, really. And also we were aware of the fact that we had some quite clear ideas over flavours and the type of blends, but we know that we are not master tea blenders, and we really wanted also to work with someone who had that really real, that true expertise. And in the end, we found a fantastic supplier who have got great background and decades of experience within tea, and they were also very happy to work with us on the scale that we wanted to.
That's brilliant. And how did all the branding come about? How did you create the look? How did you create the feel? Did you do either of you have a background in sort of knowing how to do that? Because I guess it's all about, I've only watched a few things on iPlayer really, but that sense of something has to really sell itself on the shelf. And
I think we both knew. I've got a PR background, Becky's got more a general marketing background, and so I think for both of us we knew, and I think we just knew as like consumers ourselves, and that actually we knew the packaging was going to be absolutely crucial. Like we knew it was an absolute priority to get right. So we did spend a lot of time kind of going through doing copious Pinterest boards of all these beautiful sort of packaging that we found inspirational ourselves, and we did a very detailed design brief, and I suppose we did have the background knowledge in order to be able to do that, and then we pitched it out to various agencies, and working with Kingdom and Sparrow, who are down in Cornwall, and they were they've just been fantastic. They were fantastic from the moment we had the first call with them.
Well, how do you so I'm going so practical. I have promised I haven't got like a tea business that I want to launch in the background. I solely just want to know of how this works, because I think also as well there's that all of those sort of parts are very artistic, and people can get lost in, I guess, the mountains of Pinterest boards and all of that. How do you go about putting together a brief so somebody is going to be able to bring your idea to life. What have been the components that have really helped you do that?
I mean, I think on the sort of Pinterest side, we were actually we sort of started off with putting a lot of images down, but then before we sent it out to the design agencies, we sort of really streamlined it, and we were quite sort of brutal in, actually, no, that's not along the right lines, or that's not something that actually we'd want them to take inspiration from. So we were, even though we started off with a lot of imagery, we then gave quite a tight amount of imagery to them, kind of, as sort of a guideline on what we loved. And then a brief was just very detailed in terms of, I suppose, what we wanted the key messages to be and look and feel of the brand, and kind of the emotional side of it, I suppose, as well.
Definitely. And how did you then get it to market? How did you press play and go, right, okay, we've got to sell these things now?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. That bit almost suddenly then came together. I think as soon as we were happy with our designs and packaging designs, then when there was a long process in terms of blending the actual tea and going backwards and forwards, tweaking the blends, testing them out on our little tea tasters.
Yeah.
Very
you've
honest.
got the ready-made audience there. Yeah. Like, you have to like it, kids.
Yeah, but it was hilarious because you know what kids are like. Like, they wouldn't. We'd come back with a blend, and there was one blend in particular we really loved, and Becky and I were like, oh, this is amazing. This is this is definitely going to be one of our final blends. And then kids were just like, no. And then we'd try and tweak it to make it more. We were like, well, what is it? And they'd be like, oh, you can just taste a bit of this or a bit of that. And then we'd tweak it and be like, how about now? How about now? And they were still like, no. So
they stuffs any kind of green. Like, even we went to our friend's house yesterday, and my friend made this lovely fresh pesto with loads of veg, and Oscar immediately went, I like this, but I don't like this, and dangled a piece of courgette in my face. I was like, okay, well, table manners have clearly gone out the window, but we'll see.
It's incredible how specific they can be about their taste. But kids' taste buds are really different to adult taste buds, and that is why they are a lot more sensitive to bitter foods. And so in a lot of adult fruit teas, you kind of you have things like a lot potentially a lot of rosehip, things like echinacea when it's in tea. They have a very bitter sort of back taste. Yeah, so I think kids just have very different. Their taste buds do pick up very different flavour profiles, and so it was with our kids. They were so specific with us, and we were like, okay, we'll go back to the drawing board again on that one.
No, there's nothing like being ticked off by an under 5.
Yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, it was hilarious. So there was quite a lot of backwards and forwards over the actual blending process. But then once we'd finalised our blends, because we then already had our packaging sort of ready to go, it just needed to be tweaked a little bit. It was then incredibly quick. We kind of pressed go on all these things, and then 6 weeks later we're like, oh wow, tea delivery's coming tomorrow.
Goodness. Oh, and that must have been just so exciting.
It was amazing, but actually, and it ended up coming slightly early.
Oh.
So I was on holiday, and it was coming to my house, and I was away, and I just could not believe that this momentous. Yeah, so I was away for our first delivery because it was supposed to be scheduled for sort of later in the week, and I think I was away on the Monday, and it just was unbelievable, getting this text message on DHL. We tried to deliver your tea. It's like, no, I can't believe I've got that. I've got the champagne at the ready when the tea arrives.
Yeah, champagne tea. What a blend! What a blend!
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
And then how do you get people to know about it? How do you get people to buy it? Essentially, did you literally just go into shops and talk about it, or how do you know how to do that? Because I think sometimes we can just be in the playing side of sure. I mean, I'm really good at playing shoe shops, but the thought of actually running a shoe shop, I would be completely hopeless.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, that's essentially, I suppose, our ongoing key sort of objective and challenge at the moment is just getting the word out there. But we sell it because we sell it on our online web shop. We are able to sort of immediately hit the ground running in terms of telling people we were open for business, and we mainly did that through social media, by and large. And then, but we, for us, being in retailers is absolutely key. So we immediately sort of started talking to lovely shops and delis, which has actually been a wonderful part of this whole experience. I think both of us have always been a lover of small independent shops, and so being able to go inside and speak to them and talk about our tea has been a brilliant part of the process. So so we were quite focused immediately on getting as many stockists as possible, and that's still a big focus for us.
One thing I've found is sometimes we can build it up in our heads of like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go and talk about my business or tell, especially in the early days. But most people are always like really receptive, really helpful. And I always try and do that, I guess. If somebody says, oh, what would you do? Then, I always I think that with my social media, like if I'm on there, I may as well be saying something sensible rather than just wittering on. Which I do also as well, but I try.
It is funny, isn't it? I think you do have to sort of remember why you're out there in the first place, and that people, people actually are really interested as well. I think especially within the kind of circles that you end up speaking within, like when we're talking to retailers, actually they are small business owners as well, so we're kind of all in the same boat to an extent and got similar, some of the similar challenges. So I think it is just, it's like you say, it's not kind of building it up too much and just realizing that they're actually probably going to be quite interested in meeting someone who's actually produced it rather than sort of talking through the usual middlemen. And we love having a chat to them. So
totally. How does it working as a partnership? Had you thought about doing something beforehand? Had you explored other business ideas, or was just this the right time, the right meeting on the yoga mat?
Do you know what? I really absolutely think it was. And it was funny, it's very cheesy, but from the moment I met Becky, I knew that, I knew either
it was meant to be.
It was funny. I know, my husband came home and I was chatting about this Becky, and he was like, "Oh, who is this Becky?" I was like, "Oh yeah, she's my new friend. She's my new friend."
Are we having a new conversation here of what are you going to spring on me?
Yeah, exactly. But it was like we just had a lot in common and a lot of similar values. So and then I think I had previously thought about million different business ideas. Like it was, I was always coming up with my latest way I was gonna, launch a business and blah 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 blah. And I think for once, so this just seemed like something that was actually feasible. Was something that was scalable as well. And so. And I think because neither Becky or I think Becky and I were both very clear that we didn't want to go back into our previous jobs. I think that as soon as we realised it was something we could do, we were pretty focused on doing it.
And do you have a similar skill set, or how do you divvy up the jobs? I'm sure there's a more technical term, but how do you create your own skill set that is going to... So I guess you're not always in conflicts with each other, not actually fisticuffs, but as in sort of, oh, I'm doing that and I'm focusing on this, rather than you both trying to do everything.
Yeah, do you know, I mean, to an extent, actually, and so far we have both done everything to an extent, because I think we're both keen, we both really wanted to learn the full sort of range, really have a handle on the business. It's the first time either of us had our own business, so I think we both wanted to almost test out our skills and make sure that we were really up to speed on every element of it. And for us as well, it has actually worked really, really well, because then it is almost like a job share to an extent.
Yes.
And it is amazing, because some things, we'll sometimes on certain things, we'll both be in contact with that person. And then if you're having a manic day with the kids, or like a kid's sick or something like that, actually then it's amazing, because then, Becky can sort of very seamlessly pick it up, and vice versa. So that has actually, a lot of people were like, you should really sort of divvy up your responsibilities. And I think there are naturally things that one of us will take on more than the other, because they do fit into our skill set. But it has worked very well for us, both kind of, being over everything. and therefore being able to do it more like a job share to an extent.
Yeah, that's so great, because I think sometimes the temptation can be to build a business and then actually get to the point of going, oh no, I've built a business that like actually doesn't work for my life, or I'm just working all of the time, or this is not actually what I had in mind. And I think it's really important to always keep coming back to that, like, why am I doing it? What actually did I want to welcome into my life alongside this business?
Yeah, absolutely. And we often sort of say that to ourselves. We obviously a lot of the time we forget that and, busy working away all hours. But, at the end of the day, we set it up to enable ourselves, in part, we set it up to enable ourselves to have a level of control over our own time and, an element of flexibility as well.
How do you kind of, I guess, because when you start a business, you're in the sort of launch stage of the nitty gritty detail of like, oh my goodness, we've actually got to make this. We've got to, press play on the website, or, those sort of small details of the day to day. How do you keep that big vision in place, I guess, because presumably, you want to scale this and, excited to see where it would go. How do you balance that between the two?
I think we are, I think we are very focused on scaling it, and as kind of rapidly as we can. So we are very, very sort of motivated on doing that. But at the same time, there is so much of there's a lot of day-to-day running that goes on behind the scenes. So I think it is just balancing. I think that's one of the challenges, really, to be honest. And I think that's a challenge that we talk about, because you kind of got all these ambitions that you really, really want to do, and you want to do them as
immediately.
You want to do them now, but at the same time, you can't. You can't. We have to do the day to day. So I think it's almost. I did read this amazing thing. Might have even been, Nicky, you might have put on your Instagram. How you
even if I didn't, I think I'll just take full credit for it. Yeah, it was something I said, something brilliant.
Yeah. About how you kind of should try and divide your time, so you have like one day, or a third of your time is on admin, a third of your time is on sales, and then a third of your time is on promoting your business. And I think that is actually a very good model.
Yeah, because I think it has. I don't think I did say that, but I am going to say it immediately. You'll see the Instagram post that goes up today. Like, I've heard that from somewhere before. I think that's so right, because I think when you're doing all the jobs, sometimes the temptation, especially if you're a bit tired, or you're sort of maybe, I don't know, it feels too early to share it. Sometimes you can just keep working within your business rather than sort of on it and growing it and getting out there. And I've spoken about this on the podcast before, that sense of when I was pregnant, I was like, right, I've got to use this time to make everything perfect, to line everything up. And so when I actually have the baby, everything will be then good to go, which was silly, because actually nobody has said, gosh, I really like the font that you used, or that spacing between paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 on your about page is beautiful. Like, nobody's ever said that. It's kind of that sense of you can do the work or you can't. And those details that you might think are really important to you, sometimes you have to lift them up and go, oh, it's because I'm a bit scared of this. That's why I'm playing small.
Yeah, completely. Completely. And then sometimes, I think for me is I'm probably not the world's best admin person. So sometimes I'll be like, I'll just do this Instagram thing instead, or I'll just do this, contact this journalist or something. But actually, what I should really be doing is doing my expenses and reconcile invoices, etc.
Yeah, you're so, like, there are some things that are still on my desktop, and I'm like, and I have this, it's almost a joke to myself, like, oh wow, you're still there, and you're still expecting somebody else is going to take responsibility for that. Isn't that interesting?
I know, totally.
How do you work sort of together? Do you have a lot of time face to face, or do you work online a lot? How do you make it all work?
We would normally all end up meeting up once a week probably. We have our favourite HQ, which is Cafe Nero at London Bridge, because there's lots of nice big tables there. So,
doesn't it become like it used to be, like your choices of venues used to be like where the fit boys hung out, and now it's like, how comfortable are the seats? I'm not going there. No way, I'm not meeting there again.
Exactly, how comfortable are the seats and how good is the Wi-Fi?
Yes, and the wine, yeah.
And the wine, yeah. True. So we either, if we haven't got anything on, we'll meet there. But a lot of the time we'll have a supplier meeting, or we'll have a retailer meeting, or we'll be going to some sort of industry thing or networking as an occasional treat.
Yes.
So we normally be together at least once a week, and then our WhatsApp is pretty heavily utilised as a business tool.
I'm terrible on WhatsApp because I sometimes just like type as I have ideas and send go. So like my mum will look at the notifications and she's like, you have 37 notifications, and she's thinking, oh my God, what's happened? Who's died? What's going on? And it's me just going, so I was thinking this, but now I'm thinking that, and it's just a bit of, I'm sure I drive her mad. Yeah.
Yes, I know, it's quite funny, isn't it? You're like, wow, 100 notifications within half an hour.
Quite. What's gone on? In terms of a PR sort of using your experience, what's been really useful in getting your product out there? What do people really go for?
I think with our product we have the benefit of being quite unique. So
I don't know any other. When I first came across it, I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant!" Because actually, I don't know any that are like that. I've never come across it before.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a couple of others, but I think we it's still a novel concept. So that is really good, and I suppose from a PR background, that kind of is. I know that it's very crucial for media. So we have done that. We haven't, to be honest, given my PR background, we haven't done a ton of PR. We've had some really, really nice pieces, which has been great. And when we're looking to do more and kind of build it up, I think, from our perspective, we were keen to get quite a good spread of retailers before we did, really sort of really, really heavy PR campaign.
Yes.
So we're, so that people could actually see it on the shelves. I think it's just that, it's a novel nurse. I think the fact that there's the health angle as well. I mean, at the moment, children's health is under more and more sort of speculation from both a sort of physical and mental point of view. And I think, our product is offering something that is healthy. So I think that is of interest as well.
I did have a moment the other day where my son was describing what he had in his porridge, and the person, my friend who he was talking to, she was like, "Did he just say chia seeds?" I was like, "Yep, yes, he did." And it's so weird, like our expectations of health now, because it's worse in our kids than ever before. You only have to. I know Jamie Oliver does loads of brilliant work about this, but there's always something in the press. Whereas, when I was a kid, I used to get bullied because I had an apple in my packed lunchbox.
I know. I mean, it is incredible, isn't it? And the challenge in terms of how they pin down what it is that's really causing it, because it's like 25% of kids leave school leave primary school obese, which is insane. But it's like exactly like you say, like, gosh, our usual after school snack was not such one would have these days.
I know, yeah. I'm sure my dad eye rolls a little bit when he sees the stuff that I try and feed us. I mean, he's not a perfect, he's never going to say, "Are we having halibut tonight?" Like, he's not. There's still a lot of fish fingers in there, but I guess the difference is I'm really trying to be conscious of it, because I think there's quite a lot of pressure as a parent as well to feed the kids good stuff, and you don't, and Hugh Fernley Whittingstall did a great thing about cereals and the amount of sugar that was in them. And she was saying, I think there was something about, I feel like I'm going to misquote it, but have a look at the episode on iPlayer. It's great if anyone is interested in this. But they were giving the sugar proportion of what the bowl would look like, but what the sugar percentage is what you should have as an adult, not what you should have as a child. So these kids were having a bowl of cereal and they've consumed an adult's amount of sugar just in their breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Exactly.
Can you tell I'm not a doctor? I totally took that was a long-winded way of saying it, basically.
Yeah, but I think you definitely made the point. I think that is the thing, and I think like kids, you can end up filling your kids up with a lot of sugar without even realizing it. And then whilst we don't really, I think parents have a lot of sort of messages that kind of very much play on your conscience as it is. So I think we very much want to be just on a very positive kind of our tea is essentially a fun and tasty way to enjoy something, but it is healthy. And I think for us, we did feel like drinks, was a way that our kids would be kind of consuming all this sugar consuming a lot of additives without us even realizing or even sort of noticing. And it was like, that seems like the one area that, you obviously want to encourage them to drink and be hydrated, but you certainly don't want it to be then giving them their sort of sugar or, filling them up for the day or...
Exactly, and anything that you drink and it leaves that kind of film of like fizz over your teeth, it's game over. When I think about some of the revolting Alco Pops that I've consumed in my life, I'm like, oh, no wonder it made me throw up. Oh, yeah, no wonder I saw it again.
Oh, I know. Or no wonder I left university somewhat larger than I went to university.
Yeah, no wonder I couldn't do it in my trousers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, totally. Where would you like to take the business, like, say, in 5 years? Like, I know this sounds very Simon Cowell, but what's the dream, Kate?
Yes. So I think our dream is very much, and our mission is that drinking tea becomes a lot more something that kids do. And we really want to kind of make drinking tea a really kind of, my emails keep popping up. We want to make drinking tea something that kids really, becomes part of their day-to-day life. Like, we love tea, so that's
who wouldn't want that? That sounds like a fantastic hobby.
So that is kind of our ultimate mission, and we want our brand to be kind of the one that is kind of the go-to, top quality, very delicious tea for kids to enjoy. And I think we want to expand the range, and we want to have a really great distribution. So we're kind of available very much across the whole country. Love to sort of kind of gain back that financial independence that I think that, or having kids kind of, and, I did have to let go slightly. I think just, for it to really give us a really, to give us a really solid income, and for it to, to see kids everywhere drinking tea, essentially.
Gosh, that's so important on the money side of things as well, because sometimes money pops up in the podcast, which I think I'm really trying to encourage more so, because I think there is this sort of glamorized version of just go and start a business and it's all glory and lovely and all the rest of it. But it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes the financial gains don't come straight away, and it is sort of boosted with savings and things like that. You're not having that safety net of a salary necessarily.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And I think, a lot of people said to us straight from the off is like, you can't expect to be making money from this anytime soon. You will make money, but you will want to put that straight back into the business, sort of thing. They were like, don't have an expectation of being able to kind of draw money out from it kind of anytime soon. So and I hope we will soon be in a position to start to be able to do that, but I think certainly 5 years, if we can do it and be to be a really good income, would be great.
Exciting. Watch this space. So if people want to come and give you that solid
exactly.
and make a huge order, Sainsbury's if you're listening, where should they go to find out more?
If anyone even knows the tea buyer at Sainsbury's or Waitrose.
Yeah.
So,
do you know what? There is somebody that I will introduce you to. So yeah, we'll do that after the call. I'm totally being all dodgy here, making out that I've got all these high friends in high places. But no, there is somebody that might be a good for you to chat to. But yeah, where should people go if they want to find out more?
So if people go to www.smallandwild.com, they can find out all about us and our tea there.
Wonderful, great. And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We're small_and_wild_company.
Mega, great stuff. Well, I hope that I see you in real life for a tea very soon. But thank you so much for being a brilliant guest on the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Nicky. It was so lovely to speak to you. And,
you too. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.